Good day. It is Thursday, February 17th, and welcome to Technology Drop-In Thursday. Here's our agenda. Am I sharing? Yes, I'm sharing. Here's our agenda for today. One thing for those of us here at McEwen, in the past, when we have been sharing files externally with users, we haven't been able to get past a 14-day sharing. So at one point in time, McEwen had this set up for 14 days. So it was kind of pointless to share externally. They've now extended it to 100 days. So 100 days is 3 months. That's great for sharing a document. If you need to go longer than that, you could always add an external person to your team. So if you have a team set up in Microsoft Teams, not a group chat, but a team, once they're part of your team, then they would basically have access to all the files in your team drives. Sorry, not team drives, in your team SharePoint sites. They would have continual access until you remove them. So the external sharing is basically, I have a file, I'm going to share it with a consultant or something like that. After 100 days, it shuts down. We've talked about in the past about making use of requesting files, and I'll talk about that in a bit. So the requesting files element is from OneDrive. It's like a Dropbox. And with that, it means that I can have a document available. So I'm just going to go to here. Here's a folder in OneDrive. I go and hit request files, and I'll give this a name. Give me your files. And I get a URL that I can use, or I can email this information out. When a user clicks on the link or visits the link, they will see this. So that file name that I gave it, give me your files, is there. And whether you're internal or external, you can upload files. That 100-day notice that I just talked about also applies to how long these files are available for. So if I set this up, this Dropbox here is going to be available for 100 days. The nice thing about this, though, when you're using the request files feature, is as people upload files, I actually get an email saying, you know, someone has uploaded a file, so I can go see it. But also, when this closes after 100 days, I will get a notification saying, Trevor, this is now closed, which means I have to come back into here and re-enable the request files. I've been told that there's a function there there's another function that says extend the date. So hopefully that means the URL doesn't change. So you should be able to use the same URL. I haven't seen that yet, but other people I've talked to said that's what you do. You just say extend it, and it'll extend it for another 100 days. So we're all golden on that. So that's the important thing with external sharing. So request, if you're in Teams, it doesn't apply to you. If you're requesting OneDrive, it's going to be in there. We talked about this back in July, but I did a video that shows you how to set up the request OneDrives and also how to use an automation to copy the files from OneDrive to SharePoint so that they're part of a team. You can either copy the files or move the files. So there's an automation in there. And there's a little video I did about that. If you do use the request files, make sure you share that folder with other people on your team, because remember, it's part of your personal OneDrive. I was working with an area recently that had it set up, and then that staff member left the university and no one could get access to those files. So it's really important that when you set up these request files, make sure you share the folder, even if you've set up an automation to move stuff, just in case the automation breaks down, those files are still going to get shared in that drive. Oh, that was a long one. On my website, and I didn't put a link in there, but I'll put it in later. But on the website at bit.ly/TrevTechTips, I did a thing on the Flattened. Let me just actually pull it up, just because it's a good one. So if you're working in spreadsheets and Google Sheets, oftentimes you will have multiple columns of information that you want to combine into one. So for example, when I'm doing like a drop down, I want to have a long drop down here. But what I will do is, depending on other purposes, I might need, show me the drop down for health, show me the drop down for performing, show me the drop down for business. So these are the 3 different areas, but later on I might have another drop down that has all of them. Instead of manually managing this, you can use this flatten function. So the flatten function basically says take this A2 through C4. So take whatever you have in those columns, put them all together. Now, when you originally use the flatten, it's actually going to take it in order. So it'll be bachelor, social, therapeutic, arts, dance, theater, arts, insurance, public, all be in there, but it won't be in alphabetical order. So I've also used the sort function to say, hey, sort it. And that's what it does here. So instead of taking this one by one, it takes all of them and then sorts them so that I get this here in a nice way. So I only have to maintain these three. I don't have to worry about this. It'll always update itself. So the flatten is a really nice piece. I used to do this another way. Just discovered this last week, and I was like, oh, this is going to make life so much easier. So that is the flatten function. I'm just going to pull my screen over here in case someone has a question. And nothing yet. Okay. Chrome OS Flex. If anyone has a Chromebook, you are using Chromium, which basically is the Chrome browser, like you see right here, does everything you see here. The only thing is it's not using apps. It's using web apps the whole time. So I have a Chromebook. I can pretty much do everything I need on that Chromebook if I wanted to. One of the nice things is there was a company, I can't remember the original name of it, but Google went and bought the company. It allowed you to take Chrome OS and install it on your Windows or Mac machines. So I have a 2007, so how many years is that old? 11 years? No, 14 years. Oh my God, 15 years. Yeah, 15 year, no, 11. I can't do math. I have an old book, an old iMac, and I've installed the Chromium OS Flex, whatever it was called beforehand. It's the same tool still. But the nice thing about it is it's an old spinning drive, so it's not even got a flash drive on it or an SSD drive, but you can, I mean, it takes a while to boot up, but once it boots up, it's fast. And it's like basically working within a browser. I can do all the browser stuff in there that I would before. You can also install it on a flash drive and punch it off of there, boot it off that, which will even speed it up even more. So if you've got an old book or an old laptop or an old computer or something like that, that just kind of sits there and it's because it's so slow, really suggest take a look at this, because I mean, the Mac versions of the OS were so slow on it, but I threw Chromium on there and it was great. I mean, I can do video conferencing calls. I can work in all my Chrome stuff. I can use the Office version of Windows, all that kind of stuff. So give that a shot. I forgot to turn off something, so let me just go back into here real quick and I'll just turn off my notifications. So that's Chromium OS, or Chromium OS Flex now. Improve search filters in Google Drive. Where is my Google Drive here? All right, so I'm just gonna go into my drive and I'm gonna search for the word kitty. So in the past, you've been able to go into here, use these pieces here to do your search, or to narrow your search down. If you know what some of the commands are, so for example, if I wanted to type equals folder, I could type it in. But if I now go in and start typing in whatever word, if I spell it right, that helps too. I now have these little items showing up here to allow me to filter down even further. So I can go and say, you know what, I only want to see spreadsheets. And I'm only looking for stuff with it's got the title, kitty in the title, which of course I have nothing there. So it does allow you to narrow your search results down. A cool trick is if I go to my drive and let's say I happen to be in delete at will. So I'm in this folder here. And if I run a search again, I can go under location and I can say, you know what, because right now it's searching everything, but it remembers, hey, I was in the folder delete at will. I can go in and select this, and now it just looks through that folder. You can also do the same thing, quite frankly, by, let me go back here to my drive. If I go into delete at will, I can do the same thing by just going up under the drop-down menu and say search within delete at will. And it basically pre-selects what I have, what my location already. And then I can still add more stuff in there to go through and find whatever I want. So these are all new things in the search. Also, yeah, so yeah, take a look at that, play it. Helps narrow your stuff down. Improve Google search. I just talked about that. Oh, okay, new layout button in Teams. I can't see it, but I'm going to show it to you here. So in the corner here, as you're watching the video, there's some new layouts, and depending on number of people that are attending and stuff like that, you'll get different views. But this is where they've put in all the stuff. If right now, if you're watching my video, you probably have a bunch of people all over the place. You should be able to see something called focus on content. That'll get rid of all the participants and move them off the side so that you have strictly just whatever I'm screen sharing. You can move some of the stuff like my pictures at the bottom. I can move it to I think you move it to the top or off to the right. So there's different views there and stuff that you can play with. And I'm often switching into here and going to focus on content because I don't need to see who else is in the meeting. I'm more interested in what people are actually doing. New features in Microsoft Teams breakout rooms. So let me just pull the screen over here so you can see that. We talked about some of these a little bit last time, like the assigning presenters and managers, but I'm just going to go into here and under edit. So you can assign your breakout room information ahead of time. So even though I've got the session 2 months from now or whatever, I can go in and change everything. So I gone in, I set up my 3 breakout rooms. Up in the top here corner, excuse me, this is the settings for all breakout rooms. So up here, so one of the new things that they added is a time limit. So I can go in here and choose a time limit up to 1 hour. I can assign presenters to manage rooms, so they basically become like co-hosts, and they are going to look after each room that they're assigned to until they'll be in charge of it. Automatically remove people, or do I want to manually remove people? These presenters here, if I remember correctly, the information, they can also assign users back and forth as well, but they have a little more power. And then I can go into each individual room and have its own different settings. So this room here, perhaps I might want to go in. I'm going to say, you know what, Johnny is going to do a breakout. I don't want, Johnny's very not tech savvy, so I don't want anyone else talking. So I can go in there, I can turn the mics off and the cameras off. I'm going to turn off announcements. Who can present? I only want Johnny, so I might just do the specific people there and go through all that and save that. And that's for that one particular breakout room. So you can really narrow down what features you want available for each breakout room in addition to the main meeting that you're doing with. And that can be quite handy with some, like I said, with some people that aren't super literate with the technology. You can just lock it down so they're not distracted and they can keep going and present. Oh, good note, something I read and posted the other day. When you're doing meetings or webinars with this here. So remember before we have the calendar, I go up here, I have either schedule a meeting or a webinar. Webinar is the same thing as a regular scheduled meeting. It's just that it automatically and make sure that you have the sign up piece, I believe, as well as it turns the microphones off and all the stuff that you would do for webinars. So it just presets it. With these items here, you can have up to 1,000 participants. However, the moment you get into breakout rooms, you can only have 300 people in your meeting. So I did not realize that. Not that I have huge numbers like that in my session, but for those of you that are doing info sessions and open house kind of things, that's a good thing to be aware of. And I'm just going to quickly check again. Do I have any questions? Not yet. All right. And then the last thing I want to show is recordings in PowerPoint. Currently only available in Windows, but when you're in a PowerPoint piece, you can go to Insert and you can do a screen recording. So what it's going to do is exactly like it says. Here's my screen on my Windows device. I'm going to go here. I'm going to create this selected area here. I'm going to pin this down because sometimes I lose the window, but I'm going to leave this up here and I'm going to start recording. So whatever's in this screen area, if I'm trying to do something here, present that, that's what I want to show, I'll finish it off. And then it actually will paste it into that slide. I can resize this. And now as part of this slide, I have this whole animation or screen capture. I don't have to screen capture it, save it, import it and stuff. It does directly within PowerPoint. And if you want, I can whoops, stop that. If I right click here, I can save that media or save that piece as a video. So I can save that as a short video in itself. And of course, when I go to actually play this, when I play my slide presentation, come on, oh, that's not what I want. Go back to the slideshow and start from beginning. Yep. So it automatically plays as well. And I'm pretty sure you could probably just go in there and turn off the autoplay function and just say, play when clicked as part of those automations. PowerPoint. And PowerPoint's got some new stuff coming out, hopefully in the next couple of weeks that allow it to do more with live video stuff. So once we have access to that, I'll show you guys that as well. But that's pretty much it. And that's it for the session. Any questions? Okay, then I'm going to stop the recording.